Hello everyone! Obsidian Entertainment is about to release their next RPG. Let me present you 32 things that you really should know before playing The Outer Worlds. Alright, before we jump into the actual points, I want to leave a small note here because this channel is mostly about Fallout 76, and I have recently purchased The Outer Worlds last week just to find out that I hardly knew anything about the game, apart from it's an RPG in space from the same creators of Fallout and Fallout New Vegas. Now, that's really not enough to prepare myself for an upcoming new game. I started researching and I stumbled upon spoilers like everywhere. It was extremely frustrating, so I decided to do my selective research and I ended up with a lot of information. But since everything seems to be relevant, I decided to make a video, and maybe and hopefully I can help you guys to learn more about the game, free of spoilers and focused on the gameplay, on the features, on the mechanics and systems in game. This way I hope I can help you understand and play the game a little bit better. So without any further delay, let's jump into the first point. For those who think The Outer Worlds will be just a single player game, you are quite wrong, my friend, because ever since Microsoft has acquired Obsidian, they have been aiming high. They pretend to make this into an enduring franchise. If you search on Google, for example, there are many news and articles about how Microsoft and Obsidian pretend to make The Outer Worlds into, well, a long adventure. There will be more Otherworld games in the future, and this one is just the beginning, the very first game. You should know that The Outer Worlds will be available on 4K for PC and Xbox at least, and Obsidian has unveiled the PC requirements a few days ago. For my surprise, it is quite demanding. It's actually the same specs as one of my desktops right now, which means I probably need to upgrade if I want to record without any issues. So feel free to check it out and see if your PC can smoothly run the game. Now the big question is, when can you play exactly? Let's talk about preloads first. On Microsoft's client, you can already preload it for a while, for PC and Xbox as well. For PS and for the Epic Store, things are a little bit different. Right now, it's 2 days from the release, and on Epic Store at least you can't preload yet. That's a shame, but you can at least check the global release times for console and PC to avoid any future confusions. In general, RPGs are quite time-consuming, and some of them require up to 100 hours to fully complete. Now, The Outer Worlds will be an exception because depending on how you play and explore, the game can last about 15 to 40 hours every single playthrough. This is a great thing because it makes the game really accessible. If you want to spend only 15 hours, you can still make it to the end. You can do the main missions. You will probably miss a lot of the game, but hey, it's all up to you. What do you want to do? How much time do you want to invest? And in the end, I think that The Outer Worlds is all about choice, options, and, well, if you want to find rare loot, secret vendors, maybe even Easter eggs, then you will have to spend a little bit more time. If you are wondering how will the world work in general, well, let me tell you that the loading screens will be there quite often actually, but The Outer Worlds features a semi-open world. What does that mean? Well, it kinda means that the areas are extensive and you will probably lose yourself adventuring and exploring before you see the next loading screen. As far as I saw, the most noticeable loading screens is when you're trying to get into an instance like a dungeon, an underground facility, something that is not part of the region that you are already in. But that's not the only possibility. I mean, when you are traveling from planet to planet as well as going to the main ship in space, you will also face loading screens. So the Outer Worlds features a sci-fi story. Spoiler. Basically, you are going to a colonization in deep space. You are cryopreserved in these pods, and something goes terribly wrong. This mad scientist will rescue you, and then you are up for your journey. That's basically everything I allowed myself to know about the story of this game. Everything else I suggest you to find out on your own. I don't want to be responsible for spoiling you on what's going to happen in this game. I hate starting a new game knowing all of the things that are going to happen. God, I hate that. Like popular RPGs like Fallout 4 or the Mass Effect or Dragon Age series, the protagonist here won't be voiced. That's a true letdown in my opinion. It removes a lot of the immersion that the story and the game itself can give you. But on the other hand, I kinda understand Obsidian because there are so many dialogues, so many options, and your skills attributes can influence the dialogue options as well. So it would be kinda chaotic to voice every single line that is available in game. At least I want to believe that's the reason that made them go through this route. Anyway, all the other NPCs are fully voiced, so don't worry about the mute game. It's totally not the case.
Normally, reviving someone after so long leads to some quite horrifying results. It's called explosive cell death, but it's really more of a liquefaction. Something wrong?
Apparently, the Outer Worlds will feature several worlds or planets, each one with a capital, and then you will also have some smaller towns, but they're still pretty big. Besides the giants, you can also find smaller outposts, NPCs, vendors, and vending machines all over the world, so just take a closer look and I'm sure you will never be alone out there, even if you choose to travel alone with no companions. What about buying and selling, trading in general? Well, when you are in a big town, you will have plenty of general stores to visit and browse. But when you head out of the city, you will also be able to find NPCs around and even convince them to trade with you. That seems to be an option in game. Moving on, there is also this Moonman trader. I'm not sure what he sells or buys, but he looks really weird and I think he is the humor icon of this game. Anyway, there are also some trading machines across the planet, so whenever you are in the field in battle, you will find these machines, just like in the Borderlands franchise. I believe every few miles you will be able to find one here and there. Oh boy, the enemies in the Outer Worlds seem to be quite exquisite. Besides all the humanoids, you will find a lot of different creatures. Some of them are actually cute, but I'm pretty sure that's just a disguise. They are dangerous, they are deadly, and I'm sure they won't think twice about killing you, especially because they don't think they are animals or monsters, and monsters don't think. At least I don't think these do. But in doubt, just kill everything that attacks you or is hostile. Better safe than sorry, huh? The attribute system is one of the main parts of the character customization, and it can heavily affect the game. Why? Because every single attribute can be changed from average, below average, high, very high, and if it's red, below average, you will get penalties. If it's high or very high, you will get bonuses. And based on these attributes, you can build very different playstyles, which will then affect your choices and abilities in game. Yes, that's crazy, but that's why the Outer Worlds gives you so much freedom and so much choice to play as you really want. Now, the attribute system is quite complex, as you probably saw already, and sometimes I feel like it's easier to go to the skills and check the tree that you want to level up and then go back and change the attributes. For example, if you want a high dialogue, you should probably increase your intelligence or your charm, or even both. And don't forget that when you enable a skill, everything inside that skill will be enabled for you. You can unlock specializations after 50 points, and there are also skills and tiers, as you can see right here. Yes, it's an RPG with everything included. I know what you're thinking, damn, that's a lot of skills and bonuses and I don't know what to acknowledge. But hey, slow down, learning has its curves, and in this case there is one more thing for you to know. It's called aptitude, and this is some sort of minor buff to your character. The developers said this is mostly for fun, so feel free to choose whatever you identify yourself the most, and then you will receive a very minor effect or bonus which hardly affects the gameplay. RPGs and character customization, appearance. Damn, we have a lot of options as expected. You can create the ideal savior or assassin or whatever you have in mind that you want to be in this game or in a specific playthrough. You can always use the random feature which exists in basically every RPG, and it's like a abomination creator. You can still use that if you must, but if you don't want to, you have a lot of options to shape and create the character that you really want to. We have talked about the good stuff already. What about the flaw system? In this game you can get some sort of negative buffs whenever you are exposed to certain events. Like when you are burned too many times, you can accept to be scared of flames. Of course you will get a negative buff, but then you will receive a skill point. It's a sort of a trait. It's totally up to you if you want to accept or not. Just like in this case, you have a choice. You always have a choice, and it doesn't come without a consequence. In combat, there is a system called TTD, Tactical Time Dilation, which is a system very similar to the VAD system in the Fallout franchise. You will unlock it at very early levels as far as I know, and it basically allows you to slow down time and prepare your attack in, let's say, a more accurate way. You have more time, therefore you can aim better and ensure that your shootings will hit, and you can pretty much kill everything easily. If you have watched the Outer Worlds release trailers, you probably noticed that you somewhat have a choice between your role, like you can be a hero, a villain, an assassin, a brawler, a colonist. There are a lot of options, but that's not necessarily a reputation or some sort of title in game. It's based on your choices. You can be whatever you want, and you dictate the rules through your character customization, through your attributes, through your skills, and of course through your dialogue choices as well. You might be thinking that choices probably won't matter as much as Obsidian has been saying, but maybe they do, because remember, your skills and attributes dictate the options you have in the dialogues. There are options like intimidate or charm or even persuade or attack, and it all depends on your attributes. If you don't have enough points in your attributes, you might not have the necessary dialogue options to unlock certain things, certain events. Or it could happen the opposite, because you don't have the necessary skills, bad things end up happening when you could totally prevent them otherwise. Think about it. Initially, I had an idea that The Outer Worlds was a non-linear RPG, but that's not the case. It is classified as a quasi-linear game because you can't unlock all the regions or planets at once. You first need to do something at A to go to B and then C in order to expand the planet that you are in, as Collider explained very well. Which kinda makes sense. I mean, why would they unlock all the planets at once when you are really low level and you haven't done the main missions in the first planet? It does make sense, even though it kinda limits you from traveling from planet to planet at the beginning. Eventually, you will unlock everything and you will be able to explore as much as you want. One of my first questions about this game was, where is the main base or, castle, whatever, the building? But it's like Borderlands 3. You have a main base in a spaceship in space. It's pretty big, it's badass. The interiors also look very nice and cozy and very advanced, I must say. So you will probably come here to go to other planets and access your companions and probably many other things that I'm not aware right now, because in Borderlands 3 you can basically do everything there. So maybe here it will be very similar. Let's talk about companions now, and it seems like there will be at least 5 different companions, at least according to several sources across the internet like Fandom Wiki. We know about their names, about their faces, a little bit about their skills and stories too, but in this party selection image we can see that there are 6 options, 3 males and 3 females. We are missing 1 male companion. It seems like nobody knows about him, where he comes from, or about his existence altogether. Anyway, companions have special abilities, and with the leadership attribute you can order them to use their special attacks. You will easily and very early find companions that will join you without asking much, but that doesn't mean they will stick with you forever. They can leave you at any time, especially when you make a decision that really upsets them. Now, Obsidian has mentioned that there is no reputation system. It's mostly based on principles and your decisions. If you make a decision that really goes against your companion's values and principles, then it's more than obvious that he or she will leave when you do that. It's like betrayal, you know. What about romance and fornication? Nope. There is nothing of the sorts in the Outer Worlds. The devs have decided not to include any sort of romance with the companions because that would require a very complex system and they didn't want to get into that path. Alright, I guess we can understand their point, but still it's a letdown, especially after you have played games like The Witcher or the Mass Effect series, the Dragon Age franchise too. Yeah, well, it is how it is. At least we have companions that will fight for you and have missions and so on. Weapons, weapons, and more weapons. I really didn't want to make this comparison, but the amount of weapons I've seen in the trailers so far kinda makes me remember of Borderlands 3. There are just so many weapons and most of them seem to be energy weapons, as in lasers. Some of them have special effects and they all look so cool. It also applies to melee weapons, some of them have energy effects as well. After all, it's a sci-fi game, so it makes a lot of sense for it to be this way. I don't complain. I like all of the effects and appearance so far. Hopefully the damage and the mechanics will match the appearance. I have included this point to give you some relief. Yes, there is a fast travel system in the Outer Worlds. I had to search a bit to find this sort of information, but I'm glad I did, because I was starting to think that maybe there was no such thing and we would have to walk everywhere or use some sort of vehicles or even the main ship to, go to certain planets and then we would have to walk. But it seems like it's not the case. You can fast travel to all the main cities that you have previously discovered. That's always a plus. Since there are so many different skill trees, it is normal that you can do way more than just killing and complete missions. There are some tech trees that includes science, medical, and even engineering. This will allow you to do all sorts of tinkering as well as extract mods from weapons and mix drugs. I'm sure you can do many other things, but because they are part of specializations, I couldn't find much else regarding this topic. But I found out that you can actually be a doctor as part of the roles, like a villain or a hero. So maybe there's a lot into medicine. Something really curious that I found out is that certain attributes like charm and intelligence can enable new quests for you. Why? Because you will have new dialogue options and you can earn the trust of certain NPCs or even convince them to, well, play along, tag along, be part of your team. I don't know exactly, but there is certainly a new way of experience the other worlds with certain attributes. Just like in Fallout, for example, you can hack terminals and pick lock doors. You can also steal a lot of things in the main towns, something that comes from the Elder Scrolls. And that's really cool because it's like merging all the abilities in one single game. Pretty interesting. Just make sure not to get caught when you are doing illegal acts. You can really get in trouble. I'm not sure what happens, but I think it's related to one of the flaws. You will trigger it if you get caught too much. So watch out. The experience system in the Outer Worlds is magnificent. You can earn experience by performing almost any act, from killing mobs to hacking terminals to using dialogue options that are enabled by your attributes, like persuading someone, charming someone. And that's amazing. I mean, you're just talking to an NPC and you can level up that way. That's really crazy. So leveling up in this game shouldn't be an issue. There is even a skill that can boost your experience gain when you have a companion or something alike. So that will be interesting to find ways on how to boost your experience gain. I'm sure there will be plenty to explore. One of the last points I decided to add here is about the colonists. They have a very peculiar culture in this game. It is quite different from any other game I have experienced so far. In fact, some of them treat their companies and their jobs like fan clubs, like sports clubs. They are completely obsessed and fanatics by the companies that have employed them. It is very strange to me, but it's a complete new franchise, a new world, a new narrative, so it is refreshing. And I'm really excited to find out about all these colonies and how they live, why do they think the way they think, and so on. Sadly, The Outer Worlds is a strictly single-player game. There is no multiplayer or co-op features implemented in-game right now, and it seems like Obsidian doesn't plan to add such things in the near future. At least I couldn't find anything related to this. Which means the first game will be a single-player experience, and all the company you will get is your companions. Maybe it's worth taking different ones through your different playthroughs. Just a suggestion here. So, no real people here, only NPCs, and that's going to be it. Well, better than nothing, I would say. Lastly, and I saved this point for last on purpose, you will be the king of your journey. The choices are all in your hand, and I think that's the message that Obsidian wants to pass on to the consumer, to the players, at least with their trailers, because choices matter here, and eventually whatever happens, it's really the player's fault, because ultimately the rules are made by us.
Remember, no matter what happens out here, it'll all be your fault. Good luck.
That was really a long journey for me. I think this was one, if not the longest project I ever had. It took me days to build all of these points together, to research, to make sure of what I'm saying, and I'm glad I did because I really wanted to learn about the other worlds and be prepared to play it effectively or as much as I can. So I hope you guys learned something here today. That was my main goal with this video, and do let me know what you think in the comment section below. Did I miss any major features or points? Do you agree with my selection? Would you want something else? Do let me know. If you are new here, I do mostly Fallout 76 videos. If you'd like to support content like this, then make sure to click in the subscribe button below. I also have a Patreon page for anyone who would like to support me one step further. The link is in the description below. As always, I will see you guys very soon in the next video. Until then, take care. Adios. Bye bye.